Hi guys, it's Nancy. Welcome back. So I just got done filming a video with Faber-Castell gelatos, and I did these 3 different backgrounds with all of the same products. And I had so much fun doing it that I was like, okay, I want to do it again, but what else can I use to do it? So I want to use the same stamp. It's the Blue Night Rubber Stamps Lighthouse Silhouette. It's already mounted into my Mini Misty. But this time, I think I want to play around with some Yupo paper and glossy cardstock. And then you guys figured it out. We're going to be using some alcohol inks. So I have a variety of different alcohol inks. I have some Ranger ones. I have these Pinata ones, Jacquard Pinata ones. I have this brand new one. This is Ultramarine Blue from BKRS, which I found at Hobby Lobby. So I thought it would be a cool way to break that one out. And then, I think I have another one. Some blending solution. I have some 91% isopropyl alcohol. And then here is another BKRS one called Slate. So we're going to mix up some different papers, some different alcohol inks here, and see if we can get some cool backgrounds out of it. So I'm going to start with the glossy cardstock. This is just a piece of scratch paper just to absorb some of that would come off onto the mat here. And I'm going to do some traditional sunset colors, I think. So let's just see how this works out. I also have the alcohol blending pen, which seems to be pretty dry right. Nope, that end is not dry. Okay, so we should be okay there. And no, it seems to be filled. Yeah, there's stuff coming out of there. Okay, I was thinking that I needed to refill it, but we don't. Not right now, anyway. All right, so I'm going to start with some butterscotch, some orange, and then I want like a magenta color. Oh, let's do this watermelon. Let's try that. So, whoops. Some of my alcohol inks are very old and are very crusty, so I do apologize for that. I do not wipe them down as you're supposed to when you put them away, which I must start doing clearly. So that's why you are seeing not such good, it's not easy for me to open. This is a new color for me. This is a watermelon. It's like a pinky red kind of color. All right, so on this, now this is glossy paper, so this is not Yupo paper. So you don't have as much time to play with this as you do the Yupo paper. Yeah, you can see there, once it sinks into the paper, there's not a lot of time or room to work with this. So you got to be very quick if you're going to be using the glossy paper. So I should have had my inks all ready to go. And I just sprayed some alcohol on there to see if I could help move it. And what the alcohol does is actually kind of blobs it up on here, and it's definitely not moving. Hey, I made my own alcohol marker. Alright. And we're just going to keep scribbling that until that gets cleaned off. Alright, I do not like that. And, I mean, we could play around and move it around a little. I think for this one, we're just going to have to keep layering it until it looks the way we want. I like the way the colors look together. I think it's just a matter of getting them to blend a little more, or move a little more and blend a little more. I should have probably put some gloves on too. All right, that one I'm going to set aside. It's pretty much almost all dry already, so we're going to set that aside. I'm going to grab a piece of Yupo paper here. Let's try that again. Yupo paper you want to keep stored. I'm using the Tim Holtz Yupo paper here. You can buy it in packs from other manufacturers, but again, you want to keep it stored. You don't want to have dust getting on it. Let me just clean off my nozzles here to the alcohol inks. So what you're supposed to do when you're done cleaning up your alcohol inks is just take a little bit of rubbing alcohol and clean your nozzles off so that way they don't get ink and crust all onto your lids like my other ones did. So let me just do that quick. Woo! Almost got stuff all over everything. Plus, I was storing my alcohol inks upside down, which probably was not a good idea either. Now that I have them in these Tim Holtz tins, it's a lot easier for me. I don't take a lot of room up. And I know some of you are like, why are you showing us this? Because I don't think anybody talks about this stuff. I don't think anybody talks about how to maintain, you know, your supplies. A lot of times we talk about, you know, do you clean your stamps off and things like that. But, you know, when it comes to taking care of your foil and your papers and what kind of papers to use and what to do with your alcohol inks and throw them all over yourself. You know, these are sometimes things that we need to do to make sure that the next time we do go to use our supplies, we are not having crust all over everything. And now I have inky fingers, but that's okay because alcohol will clean that up too. I did splatter alcohol ink on my body. Kids are going to think I'm downstairs doing like self-mom tattoos or something. All right, let's try this again on Yupo. I actually am going to change out the butterscotch to a brighter yellow. Okay, enough with the cleaning. All right, I am going to go in with some of Dandelion and put that along our base here. I do kind of want to saturate that. And then I'm going to go with the orange, which I'm sorry, it is in Spanish, so I don't know what the name of it is. I think it's pumpkin. And then again with the watermelon. And a very little bit of the alcohol, just kind of sprinkle that in there. And then back in with my straw, and I'm just going to blow it around. Now what's nice about the Yupo is you can continue to reactivate and move this around. So here I'm going in with the alcohol blending pen, which is filled with blending solution for me. And I can go in and reactivate that and move it around. So the Yupo is a synthetic paper. It's basically made out of plastic. So it takes a minute for that ink to actually go in and set. It's sitting on top, even though the surface is drying. And you can still have time to go in with alcohol or blending solution. Now I think I've lifted too much of the orange, so I'm just going to put a little bit of that back into place here. Alright, I kind of like that one, so we're going to leave that one alone. I'm going to grab another piece of Yupo paper and put these colors away. Alright, and let's try to clean off my pen here. Now that pen will stain, and again, all you do is just keep wiping it off and it will eventually come clear again. It might be stained on the nib, but as long as it's coming out clear, you're good to go there. I think I'm going to try some of these new colors. So we have, let's go in with this Ultramarine Blue. This is again from BKRS. Oh, it has a much wider nozzle on the tip than the Tim Holtz do. Oh, it's very fluid. Ooh, it's a lot of color. I'm going to go in with this slate, which is like a gray up here. Oh yeah, it's very gray, like a dark gray. If you're somebody in the alcohol art, these are very, very flowy. This is Passion Purple from Pinata. Very dark purple. And I think for fun, we're going to add some gold to this, which I'm mixing up. I have some blending solution here that I'm just going to put down and move some of these around a little bit. This bottle is out. Alright, I want to dull this down a little bit and reactivate it. So we're going to go back in with our 91% alcohol. That's the little ball in the gold mixative. And this is the Pinata color Rich Gold. Alright, just going to reactivate this. The alcohol will lighten it a little bit as well as move it for us. The blending solution moves it, but really doesn't alter the color. Keeps it concentrated. This is really pretty, like if I was doing a regal background or a galaxy background. I think it's just too dark for what I'm looking for right now, though. All right, I'm going to let that one dry. Not exactly what I was looking for, but still very pretty. I'm going to set that one aside, and we have one more piece in this pack. And I'm going to go back to the Ranger inks, I think. Go with that sunset combination I've been working with, which is like the yellow, the pink, and the purple. So I'm going to go in with, yeah, this is like orange. So I'm going to go back in again with the orange I believe is pumpkin. Just kind of put that on the bottom here. The tiniest bit of the dandelion at the bottom here. Now that's what I'm looking for. Okay. And then I want to add a little more pink. I'm going to go in with flamingo. I want that in the middle here. All right, I really like this. This is going where I want it. And then I want to add some purple. And this is, again, another one that's in Spanish. I think this is called Twilight, but I'm not sure. And I just really want this little bit at the top here. Add a little bit of alcohol. got a little muddied in the top there, but I really like how the bottom part came out, so I may not use some of that top. The bottom is exactly where I wanted it. Okay, so now we want to move this stuff out of the way. I know you guys are like, get to the stamping part, Nance. You're just making a big mess. I know. I am. Alright, so I set that off to dry. Move this out of the way. Okay, so the ink pad that I'm going to use is some Ranger Archival. And let's start with that first smaller piece that we did. I'm going to set these off to dry somewhere where they're not going to be on top of your other projects and get ink on everything. Okay. So this is that first one we did on glossy paper. It is, for the most part, dry. Let's just see how we can get this one to stamp out. Okay, let's see how this one works. The archival ink is a little bit of a drier ink, so it does take a minute to, you might have to stamp it multiple times because it's not a super wet ink like pigment inks or dye inks are. Okay, not too bad. Let's go in and do that again. Dry this a little bit. Okay, and again, because these are an oil-based ink, they have, sorry, alcohol-based ink really is what it is. It takes a minute for them to get into the paper and dry, so you really have to be patient when stamping with this kind of ink. Alright, so, I mean, I can continue going, but actually I'm just going to leave it alone at this point. It's really not too bad looking. I like how that funky alcohol background goes with the stamp. I love the colors. So yeah, that one, I would not call that one a fail. That one's all right. We're going to set that off to dry. Okay, are these guys ready yet? Look how pretty this one came out. This is going to be a cool, I'm going to leave this one as a galaxy background. Really pretty. I like all those. Now, see the bits here where it's still a little, you can see where the alcohol ink hasn't dried yet. It's still clumped up. That's the perfect time to put spare pieces of foil. If you have foil, I don't have gold foil out, so I don't want to put it on this one. But if you had foil, you could stick it down and lift it up, and it would stick to these sticky parts of the alcohol ink, and you'd have these kind of foil veining on there, which is kind of cool. Actually, I can show it on this one. You have to be careful with that because it will lift the alcohol ink onto the foil, and you don't want to transfer that foil onto any of the rest of your design. So you have to be right at this sweet spot where the alcohol ink is just tacky enough that it will pull on that foil where it's not too wet and not too dry. So there you can see that the foil stuck to the alcohol ink. Can you see that? It's pretty neat. It's a pretty neat way of getting foiling on your alcohol projects. All right, so let's stamp this one out. I don't think we might have to cut this one down a little bit. Alright, let's see here how this one's going to turn out. Now I cut that panel down to 5.5 by 4.25. I'll probably cut it down again. And I want to get it stamped out, and then I'll frame it and cut it down. Not too shabby. I think one more layer and we should be good. Now, you want to be very careful if you're going to try to heat this because, again, Yupo paper is fake. It's plastic, so it could melt. So you want to stay at a very high angle up before heating this. And you want to do short, quick movements on there. So that should have dried it a little bit so that we can move on with, I think, will be our final layer. And as I said in the last video, I think this is a great versatile stamp. You can use it for, you know, a masculine card. You can use it for a sympathy card, you know, a congratulations, like a retirement card. I think that just symbolizes so many things, being a lighthouse. If you're someone who's into religious quotes, they have some nice religious quotes over at Blue Night Rubber Stamps. So a lot of different things you could use this particular image for, and depending on your background, you know. Just the lighthouse symbolizes so many beautiful things that you can correlate into a card for somebody. All right, I think I really want one more stamping on this. I'm going to give that another quick heat set. Clean the stamp off before I go back in and ink it again. The reason this corner of the stamp is leaving that little bubble is because as the stamp sticks to the paper, it has a suction effect. And so since that's the last corner to lift, it's leaving a little like air bubble in there. So I want to clean the stamp off and see if I can get a little bit better coverage in that corner so it doesn't have that little air bubble. It has nothing to do with the stamp. It's just the way that it lifts from the MISTI. As it's done stamping, that's the last area to lift up. So the suction is released there, and that's where the air bubble is. I'm hoping this will be the last time we have to ink this. So I'm going to give it an extra second to kind of transfer that ink down. Just rub it at different angles here. Hopefully that'll help it transfer. Okay, that looks pretty good. I'm going to leave it alone at that. All right, now I'm going to put this somewhere to dry. I think that looks pretty neat, and then I will cut it down. What do you think? What do you guys think? All right, so those are my two alcohol backgrounds. One using Yupo paper and one using the photo paper, and again just using different alcohol inks. Again, with the alcohol ink on photo paper, you need to be much quicker because that soaks right in and gets right in there and it doesn't really want to move. I still think it looks pretty neat. With the Yupo paper, you do have time to move it, mix it, blow it around, and so on, and it reactivates with alcohol or with blending solution. So again, just adds to some of the different backgrounds we can make, and what's versatile about these silhouette stamps is they make it so easy. So a number of silhouette stamps, you can check them out at Blue Night Rubber Stamps. This one is called Lighthouse Silhouette. If you guys have any questions, post them below. If you like this video, I appreciate your thumbs up. If you have any questions or comments, I always appreciate you guys asking questions, or you can also email me at nancystamps15@gmail.com. Again, that's Nancy Stamps, the number 15@gmail.com. If you're not a subscriber and would like to subscribe, the little bubble will pop up in the bottom right corner, and you click on that and click on the bell, and you will get notifications every time I post a video. So thanks for watching, guys, and as always, keep on stamping. Goodbye.